once we know how to identify the non-permissible values, we can then start to work with different rational expressions. We'll try to simplify the expressions, and usually before we try to simplify them, you may want to identify the non-permissible value right away. Those are the numbers you don't want to use for the rational expressions. And you can start from the denominator. For the first example, 2x plus 5 divided by x squared minus 25. Looking at the denominator, when you have anything divided by 0, this whole thing will be undefined. Or in another word, if this denominator is 0, there will be trouble with this rational expressions. X squared minus 25. This is a difference of square. We can factor this. And using the zero property, we will have x equals 5 or x equals negative 5. Or in another word, these are the values we don't want to use for this rational expressions. When you want to work with rational expressions, you get the non-permissible values from the denominator. You don't need it from the numerator. Even when you look at the expressions here, the numerator comes with a GCF. Yes, you can take it out. And yes, the denominator comes with a difference of square. You can factor this, but you don't use the numerator for your non-permissible value. You only look at the denominator. Seeing how we have the same thing in the expressions, we can reduce the expressions and the non-permissible values will be 5 or negative 5. These are the non-permissible values from the above. In the next example, 3b. These expressions come with a different variable, which is totally fine. We will treat it more like an x and continue to work on it. In order to simplify irrational expressions, we want to factor the expressions. We want to take out the GCF, and after you factored your expressions, hopefully there are things that we can reduce. In example 3b, looking at the numerator, we have 8y squared and 16y. Both of them are divisible by 8y. We can take out the GCF, and as you can see, there are things that we can reduce, and therefore giving us y minus 2 at the end. y minus 2 divided by 1, or simply y minus 2. Now, even though we've eliminated the denominator from this expressions, the long permissible value continue to be exist. You still want to look at the questions and identify the long permissible values here. Because when you actually have y equals 0, if you use 0 for y, putting this number back to the question itself using 0 for y, you will end up with something over 0. And it will make this questions undefined at the end. Even though you may have no problem with the answer at the end, but the non-permissible values apply to the question given to us at the beginning. And you want to identify the non-permissible values at the beginning. So here we have non-permissible values for y.